Hi, this is Carla from Melbourne. I have a question about Melbourne, actually.
Yes.
We live in crazy times here, and my question is that Elena said that the land is impacted by the beings who live there. Now, can it also be the other way around? So that the beings are impacted by negative energy of things that have happened underground? Because it's it's very dense down here. It's very can people be impacted by negative energy from underground, and can that affect their mind? Can that affect their way of thinking?
Yes, it can. Absolutely. I completely understand the question, Carla. And although I'm not certain myself of exactly what is you said Melbourne in Australia, correct?
Yeah, Melbourne is correct. Yeah.
So my understanding is that Melbourne and Sydney are two of the most weaponized cities on earth right now, as it relates to what's going on in the basement underground. And the Aboriginal elders are very, very aware of this. The whale dreamers are aware. They understand that this is a hyperdimensional reality of an interface happening between demonic realms and the so-called celestial or angelic realms. The bottom line is, my understanding is that the so-called deep state have been very, very much engaged in establishing underground strongholds in Australia, more than they have anywhere else in the world, actually. So I think you'll find that Australia is the most weaponized when it comes to the extraterrestrial intervention with their human proxies, who fundamentally operate through what I loosely call the Babylonian priesthood, but that translates into military and intelligence brass. Individuals who themselves have been brought into that understanding. This all goes back to Majestic 12, more or less. In the modern era, we can look to Majestic 12, and when that was MJ 12, when that was set up in the 40s and 50s. So yes, what's happening underground directly interfaces with the way people are able to function on the surface. But I have to say this. Be careful that we don't get drawn too much into that language. And I'll tell you why I say this. Because it is you, the human technology, the Adamite, the ones that carry the divine spark, so to speak, the Christed element. We are the ones who make the determination whether or not we assimilate those hyperdimensional forces and those influences or not. So it's like you don't even need to concern yourself too much with the mechanics of what's going on in the basement with the satanic blood drinking, adrenochrome harvesting element. You don't need to concern yourself too much with the extraterrestrial element, because let me tell you now that the extraterrestrial element is itself an incredibly complex arena, because you are now dealing with forces that are operating at the subdimensional plane, at the hyperdimensional plane, at the metadimensional plane, at the supradimensional plane, and in the 3D visible spectrum of light plane. It is a full spectrum interventionism taking place right now, and it's all aimed at one thing, and that is the human activated genome. Because the human activated genome is the most powerful force in the temporal universe, meaning to say the material universe. This is well understood. What those forces, all of them, are vying to do, what they are seeking to do, is to get you, Carla, and me, Sacha, to offer our permission, to grant our permission for their intervention. Because without our permission, there is no possibility of them hacking into the fabric of human soul. There is no possibility of them even hacking into mitochondria, even if they have put nanoparticulates into our bodies with the chemtrailing and with the fluoride and with the glyphosates and all the poisons. That orchestra of poisons that have already embedded our bodies in the last 75 plus years is already fully weaponized at that level of biological level. But the point is this: your will and my will, our consciousness and our conscience, are the determining factor of whether we allow those influences to override or not. So I invite people right now not to get too pulled into researching all of the possible constructs out there, because they're awful. They're bloody awful. And that can bring you into a psycho-emotional and a psycho-spiritual vortex. And in a sense, that's exactly what those forces want. They want us to be thrown into a trauma-based scenario where we move into such a state of psycho-emotional and psycho-spiritual flux that we go, I don't fucking know. I can't handle this. I can't compute. I can't assimilate. I can't make sense. Don't be pulled into it. I've been saying for the last year and a half, know what you know, feel what you feel, see what you see, and touch what you touch, and then make your determinations according to that beautiful sentient spark called the human conscience. Because we all born with that divine technology that makes the difference between the demonic and the angelic. It's as simple as that. I really hope that's answered the question.